Her maid of honor grabbed the microphone and said, "I can't watch another good man disappear. Check her basement." The DJ had just announced our first dance when Bethany ripped the microphone from his hands. My bride Lillian was walking toward me across the reception floor, her white gown trailing behind her like something from a fairy tale, when her best friend since childhood stopped everything with those words. The band went silent. 200 guests froze with champagne glasses halfway to their lips. I stood there in my rented tuxedo, trying to process what I'd just heard, while Bethany stared at me with the desperate eyes of someone who'd been carrying a secret too heavy for too long. She was shaking so badly, the microphone was picking up the tremor in her breathing. Lillian's face transformed in a way I'd never seen before. The warm smile I'd fallen in love with melted into something sharp and predatory. She didn't look confused or embarrassed like an innocent person would. She looked furious, cornered, dangerous. "Bethany's drunk," she announced to the crowd, her voice syrupy sweet, but her eyes locked on her maid of honor like a threat. "She's been jealous of me since college. Everyone knows she wanted Nathan for herself." But Bethany wasn't backing down. She pulled out her phone and started scrolling through photos, her hands still trembling. "Ask her about Connor Walsh. Ask her about the contractor she dated before him. Ask her about the basement renovation she paid cash for right after they both vanished." The names hit me like physical blows. Lillian had mentioned Connor once, said he was an ex who moved to Australia. She'd never mentioned anyone else. Bethany held up her phone showing missing persons reports, screenshots of concerned Facebook posts from families, news articles about men who vanished without a trace. "Connor's sister has been posting about him for 3 years. His car was found abandoned at a rest stop, but he never got on any flight. The contractor's wife thinks he ran off with someone, but his bank accounts haven't been touched since the day he disappeared." My best man grabbed my arm like he was ready to pull me out of there. Lillian's mother was crying quietly at the head table, and when I looked at her, she wouldn't meet my eyes. She knew something. I thought about all the things I'd explained away over our 2-year relationship. How Lillian insisted I sell my apartment and move into her house before the wedding. How she'd gotten strange about the basement, claiming it flooded and needed to stay locked. How she'd subtly cut me off from my friends and family, always with reasonable excuses that seemed loving at the time. How she'd pushed for us to elope, and I'd been the one who insisted on a real wedding with witnesses. My stomach dropped when I remembered finding a man's watch in her junk drawer last month, expensive and engraved with initials that weren't mine. She'd said it was her late father's. Her father's name was William. The watch said C.W. Connor Walsh. Lillian moved toward Bethany with murder in her eyes, but my groomsmen stepped between them. "You're destroying everything," she hissed at her best friend. "After all I've done for you, after I kept your secrets." Bethany laughed bitterly through her tears. "What secrets, Lillian? That I knew and stayed quiet because I was scared of you? I've had nightmares for 3 years about what's in that basement. I can't let Nathan become the next name on a missing poster." Someone had already called the police. The venue manager was ushering guests toward the exits. When officers arrived an hour later with a warrant, I gave them the keys to her house myself. The locksmith they brought for the basement door wasn't necessary. What they found down there made national news for weeks. They recovered remains of 2 men beneath the concrete floor she'd poured herself. Lillian got life without parole.